Hey guys, welcome back to another video. The long-awaited announcement for the new TLP server is finally here. And I want to go over this and talk about my thoughts on this also. I have a lot of stuff. I keep recording this video a couple different times and then I think of something else I want to say. So let's just take it step by step here. And this video might take a little while. So, if you want to grab a snack or whatever, feel free. So the new server, it's going to be called Oakwynd. And it's coming out in May, and it's going to be an evolving rule set progression server. And it says, what does this mean? As mentioned in the passing before, this will be a experimental year. It starts out at launch with something we call legacy characters and encounter locking. That each expansion unlock, an additional bonus will be added to the server. And it says this is subject to change. So all this is subject to change, and I think there's a lot should be changed. Like everything needs to be changed. Like let's just scratch this whole idea and change it to something else. Anyways, legacy characters will allow your characters on the same account on the server to receive a semi-permanent experience bonus. So when one of your characters reaches max levels for the era that you're in, so you have a level 50 in classic, your next character will receive a 10% experience bonus. And that bonus will increase by 10% for every additional character you have at max level. So if you have 2 level 50s, your account will have a 20% experience bonus for your alts. And once you move up to another level range, so let's say you hit the level 60 cap, Runes of Kunark, you'll lose that bonus completely, and then you'll have to get characters up to level 60 to continue getting that experience bonus on your other characters. And so level 60, that means it will last through Kunark, Vilius, and Oakwynd. So for all of that, you'll get the experience bonus. But once Planes of Power comes out, you have to get your characters to 65, and so on. So this is an idea that is in other MMOs, and I believe it's also in Everquest 2, if I remember. I haven't played that game in a really, really long time, but I believe they have this system in there, and they're probably just like, oh, it works in that game, let's move it into this game. And this is a good idea. I do think this should have been in EverQuest a long time ago, but having it on a new TLP server like this is absolutely pointless. For instance, if you're playing in Classic, you're not going to have an alt on the same account. More than likely, most people don't. You might make an alt later, but you're going to be mostly working on your main character and raiding on your main character. If you do have alts, most people are boxing. And what does boxing mean? It's a separate account. So if all your alts are on a different account, guess what? You're not getting this experience bonus on any of your characters because you're boxing one character on every account. So this is more of something that needs to be implemented across the game, and people servers that are long-standing servers that are highly populated with lots of alts, like locked servers like Agnar, the FV server, Povar, and whatever all the big servers are. I don't know if Povar is big anymore, but you know what I mean. Like long-standing classic lives, or I shouldn't say classic, long-standing live servers and lock server like Agnar are going to see the biggest benefit out of this. But for the most part, on these new servers, who's going to be using this? Like probably nobody, especially in the early of the game. And also, you're going to be raiding Agent of Change instances, which is locked per account. So you're going to be able to raid on one character, and if you get your alt up, you're like, oh, I got my experience bonus on my, I got them to 10% faster. Well, you can't raid on them because you're already locked out of everything, unless your guild's going to do some open world raid targets. So, all of your alts are going to have trash gear anyway. And honestly, on a new server like this, a 10% bonus per character is not enough to incentivize people to want to level up a bunch of alts. If they were on the same account, if they're going to do that, they had already planned on doing that anyway. This 10% bonus for the second or third character on the same account wasn't going to go, oh, now that I get a 10% on my second alt, I got to make a second alt. No, they're just going to box or not make an alt at all in most cases on these early TLP servers. All right, up next. Additionally, this server will be our first attempt at an encounter locking. In short, once an NPC is engaged, it will be locked to that character, group, or raid. Characters not part of the lock cannot contribute damage. Spells from outside characters will not land on the NPC. If an actively locked NPC loses aggro for a short period of time, how long is a short period of time, I wonder? The NPC will go home, reset, and then unlock. So what if you have proximity aggro on things? Like, the thing about Everquest is this is a modern MMO concept, but Everquest is not a modern MMO. In most games, like if you take WoW, for example, if somebody pulls a mob that's like not in an instance out in the open world and you don't attack it at all, it's not going to attack you. It'll go back to its spawn point. In EverQuest, we have proximity aggro. So if you're close to it and somebody dies next to you or feigns death next to you, you're going to be the one that attacks. So does that mean you're going to have a locked mob that's locked to somebody attacking you that you can't even attack back or root or CC or anything because nothing lands and it's locked to them? Like, this seems like this is going to, I don't know if that's the case. I'm making an assumption here, but based on how, I'm basing my assumption on how this is worded. So they need to provide more detail on how this is going to work, because I think this is going to cause a lot more problems than it's going to solve. I don't even know exactly what they're trying to solve with this. I'm assuming it's going to be some type of like anti-griefing mechanic. But is griefing really bad in that game? My experience is it's not. Yeah, there's like scenarios where you run into bots, or you have like, you know, there's assholes in some places. You run into an occasional one. But for the most part, EverQuest is a pretty peaceful game. Like, people don't have a lot of problems with each other most of the time. So I think it seems like they're trying to chase a ghost here. I want to hear what's their thought process behind doing this. Like, why are they implementing this? And why is it on a new TLP server? Like, this should be something that's put on the test server, and then people can provide feedback on the test server. This is like they're testing something. When they said this is going to be a what did they say? Let's see. This is a truly experimental year. Experiments belong on the test server, not on a brand new TLP server that people have been waiting a year to come out. Then you come out and you're like, hey, you guys want to beta test our new locking system on the TLP server? No, I don't want to beta test your locking system. On the most part, I don't see anything that's wrong with how it is. So honestly, this is going to create a lot more problems than it's going to solve, based on what I see so far. But I guess we're going to have to wait and see if they. Really, what's just disappointing to me is not that they're trying this; it's that they're putting this on a new TLP server as if this is like some type of new content. Like, this is something that they should be doing in addition to the TLP server, not using the TLP server as a beta test. Yeah, so let's also move on to power leveling, because this raises some questions there. So this says, once an NPC is engaged, spells from outside characters will not land on the NPC. So what if you're trying to do damage shield power leveling with a high level character? So let's say you have a high level character, you're pulling all these mobs. Okay, you got aggro and everything. Well, if they're locked to you and you put a damage shield on yourself to kill them, and the low-level guy does 1 damage to all of them, so he gets the experience. Well, here it says outside spells aren't going to land. So are you going to be able to power level anymore? Did they word this wrong? They need to go into more detail about this, what their thought process behind applying this change is. That's the first thing I want to know. Why are you doing this? How does this make it more fun for the player base? Or are we chasing a ghost here, fixing a problem that doesn't need to be fixed? You know, obviously on epics and stuff, there were some issues there, and I think they did a good job with that for the most part, doing the locks and those. But applying it to everything is a totally different ballgame. So I'd like to hear more feedback from Daybreak on what the details of this is and what their thought process is behind applying this as well. All right, so, and again, this is not something that should be tried out on a brand new TLP. Like, I wasn't sitting on the edge of my seat for a couple months waiting for the new TLP announcement just to hear they're going to lock NPCs. Like, who cares? That doesn't make the experience more fun for anybody. Let's have some fun. Okay, so let's move on to their final note on this new server. Now onto the evolving part. For each expansion unlocked, we will be planning on adding the following benefits to the server. Each benefit will add to the existing instead of replacing the benefits on the active server. So basically what this means, every expansion they're going to have a new server buff. And as the expansion comes out, you'll keep getting new ones, but you'll get to keep the old ones too. So if you're on Plains of Power, you'll get this coin drop modifier, and you'll get all the previous buffs. I don't want to go into what every single one of these are, because there's like 20-some expansions, but we'll go over some of them here. So for Classic, you're going to get legacy characters and encounter locking. So basically your Classic experience is going to be the same as Yellowknack. There's really no difference. You're not going to be playing any alts on the same account. Most of you aren't. Maybe some people will, but they would have done that anyway. And if they did, you know, you might make a couple alts on the same character, which gives you what, 10 or 20% bonus at the most. Most likely you're not going to have 10 characters on the same account. So you're just going to be either boxing or you're going to just be leveling up your main character. And also encounter locking. So again, it's just going to be the same experience with the added risk of encounter locking being buggy, not working, exploitable, and things like that. Runes of Kunark loot modifier, 125%. You're going to get a bunch of more loot. I think this is good. It'll be faster than Yellowknack since you'll be getting more loot. Scars of Velius faction modifier, 125%. Like, this doesn't really change the game or do much of anything. Like, it's not exciting. People are going to be like, oh, I can't wait for Scars to unlock so we get a faction modifier. Like, they already do faction modifiers throughout the year anyway. So, yeah, you need some factions and Scars of Velius, but it's honestly not that hard. Shadows of Luckland, AA experience modifier. Now, this is a good one because I generally feel that TLPs and EverQuest in general, it just takes too long. People have stuff to do in real life. This isn't the 90s where everyone can just no-life the game anymore. They need to speed the game up. And I think some of these steps that they're taking is a good step in that direction, but it's not enough, and it's not widespread. The percentages are too low, and it's not widespread enough, and it's not being implemented fast enough. They need to implement like these experience changes to all servers right now. There's no reason they shouldn't be in the game. Plains of Power coin drop modifier, 150%. So make sure you convert everything to Chronos before Plains of Power comes out, because there's going to be hyperinflation when Plains of Power comes out, and there already kind of is even on a normal server. But if they're increasing the coin drop rate by 150%, it's really going to inflate the price of a Chrono. So make sure you cash out for Chronos before Plains of Power. Lowered spawn timers on all NPCs, 85%. So what they mean here, I believe, is it's going to be lowered to 85%, not by 85%. So if you have a 10-minute respawn timer, it's going to be 8.5 minutes instead of 10 minutes. And at first I was like, what? 85% less spawn timers? I thought they would take 8.5 minutes off. So it'd only be like 1.5 minutes on a respawn. I was like, that's insane. But that's not what they're doing. Because I looked down here on the Darkened Sea, and it says lowered spawn timers by 70%. So I was like, oh, okay. So they have it described backwards. So in the Darkened Sea, it's going to be a 7-minute respawn instead of a 10-minute respawn. Now, I like the idea of this in general, but the problem is not every single zone necessarily needs their respawn timer lowered. There's some zones that really need it lowered a lot, and other ones are actually fine. So I would rather actually see them go through server zone by zone and see what all the respawn timers are and adjust them to something that makes more sense. Like, nobody should have to wait 30 minutes for a single PH. Like, it's way too long. And some zones, especially the older ones, they're really long respawns and some of that stuff. And other stuff is like fine, you know, it'll be like 10 minutes or something. All right. Lost Dungeons of Norath alternate currency modifier, 150%. So I'm assuming this includes Eldon points. I don't know if Eldon points is technically alternate currency, because it's not in your alternate currency tab. It's in your Eldon UI window. But if that is what, I'm assuming that's what they're going to increase the Eldon points, because people have been complaining about that. But again, only doing it on a new server, there's no reason to only do it on this server. Do that on all servers. It needs to be on all servers now. Like last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Nobody wants to do like 360, 370 Eldons to max out their charm. And so they would have to like recalculate that whole system. This how many you need, how many instances of each zone you need to clear to get the achievement for your to upgrade your charm and all that. But I mean, this is good, but it needs to be applied everywhere. At least for Eldon. Other stuff maybe 150% on certain currencies might be a little extreme, especially on like brand new content. But you get what I'm saying. All right, Gates of Discord, tribute donation modifier, 200%. Like, who cares? Like, it's good. It's better than not having it. But honestly, this is not like a new server game-changing thing that makes me excited. Like, oh, I want to go play there and get the slightly faster loot in the tribute donation modifier. You know, and they're going to relax TrueBox 3. Now, talking about TrueBox is later down here, they actually mentioned that the server is going to start with standard TrueBox, 1 client per computer. They need to do 2 clients per computer to start out. One's done. I actually got rid of one of my computers just because I'm tired of having, I only used it for Everquest. I just got tired of having it sit there. I was like, I got too many computers. And it just becomes tiring after a while. Like, let people run 2 and then maybe relax it to 3 later. I think that's more reasonable. That way I can have 2 on this computer and 2 on that computer, like right here or something like that. Instead of needing 4 computers for 4 accounts, I only need 2. I can eliminate 2 of my computers. I mean, that would be awesome. Rare spawn modifier, 200% in Omens of War. I mean, that's good. That's awesome. I would like to actually see that earlier. What's the most popular server on live? FV. There is a time and place for long, drawn-out content that takes a lot of time, but the whole game shouldn't be like that anymore. It's 2023. Make the game easier. It doesn't need to be easy mode, casual WoW mode. All you boomers getting mad. Oh, go back and play WoW if you want an easy game. I'm not saying it needs to be like that, but it needs to be less tedious than it is now, because a lot of the stuff in the game, it's more of like a work so you can build up to where the fun is, where really the game should be fun the whole way through. Dragon's North, they're going to increase the faction modifier again. I mean, okay. I mean, who really cares? Depths of Dark Hollow, evolving item experience modifier, 150%. Like, that's good for some items, but most of the time in the game, you're not going to be messing around with evolving items. So they may as well just put this on live right now as is, because to me, evolving items are kind of dumb. Like, I think they're tedious. They're not fun. It's unrewarding when you first get it. You're like, oh, I got it. Yes. Well, now I got to evolve it up and do all this extra work to evolve it up. Prophecy of Ro, increased chance to skill modifier, includes trade skills. That's really good. The trade skill part, the regular part, who cares? Because they already made it faster anyway. It's like you can already get your skills up pretty quick now. And one thing I do, 2 things to note about this. Number 1 is the skill modifiers. They stop it like, they put it back at the old rates once you're like 5 away from your levels cap or something like that. Once you're like 5 levels away from your levels cap. So if you're like level 20 and your cap is 100, you're going to stop getting the fast skill up rates. I think maybe around like 80 or so. Maybe 70, I think it's 80. So just as an example. And they just need to let it go all the way up. Why not let it go all, why make it fast like 90% of the way, and then like the last couple levels it's like it never goes up and you're sitting there staring? Just make it go all, who cares? Like the skill parts of the game, like this, it's not content. Like, just have it maxed out. There's really no reason to have the skills, like one hand blunt, one hand slashing. That should just be maxed anyway. Like, you shouldn't have to level those up. Let's be real here. Now, spells are kind of the same way. Like, the spell stuff is really inconsistent with that too. Like, for instance, I've noticed on the druid, for instance, I think it's the level 47 damage shield. You can cast that at like level 1 skill, and it doesn't fizzle at all. Like, some spells fizzle at low levels, some of them don't. Like, they have it all messed up. Just let all the spells cast. What's the big deal? And same for swimming. Like, swimming, you shouldn't have to level up swimming. You should just be able to swim. Where were we at here? Oh, and then the trade skill modifier, 200%. That's really good. I do feel like, especially tailoring and blacksmithing on TLP servers, they're just too tedious to level up. I don't think they should be super easy, but I do need to be a bit easier than they are currently, because it's just like most people resort to botting or AFK farming on mages just to level it up. And even when you do that, it takes them like weeks to get their last few skill ups. Like, that's not how the game should be played. So I think this is really good with the trade skills. And additionally, on live, getting from 300 to 350 is way too time consuming. They need to tone that down, in my opinion. It should still be somewhat difficult, but they could half the difficulty and it would still take a while. Like half the amount of recipes you need, and it would still take a while to do it. So I think they should adjust that too. But this is kind of cool, I guess. But the issue is it doesn't come out until Prophecy of Rogue. Let's see, loot modifier goes back. I keep saying modifier. Loot modifier, 200%. Remove true box and TSS. Okay, and then I think for the most part, this just cycles over and over. They got some other things like luck modifier, like who really cares? Collection spawn time modifier, like what is that? Like, I know what it is, but like, why make that a expansion bonus? Like, it doesn't really change the game hardly at all. So it looks like they're just like, oh, we have to have a bonus for every expansion, so it has to like alternate a little bit. So let's just think of what we can and put it in here, you know. So a lot of these are just kind of like really trivial things, and it just seem like filler spots because they wanted to put something in every expansion, just because they arbitrarily decided, oh, we're going to put something in every expansion, so we got to put something in here. So, and also the unlock schedule is going to be a standard TLP, so you're going to be in Classic for 8 weeks, and then you're going to be in Kunark for 8 weeks, and then you're going to be in Plains of Power and Legacy of Yekashah for 12 weeks, and then you get Eldon, and then 4 weeks after that you get Discord. So basically, you're going to be in 12 weeks of Plain of Power, and then you'll be in 4 weeks of Eldon. So that puts you at 16 weeks, 4 months of Plains of Power to Eldon. So you'll be level 65. They need to put Eldon in with Plains of Power and Legacy of Yekashah, and then lower 8 weeks to like 6 weeks. And then Gates of Discord can come out after you've done all that for 6 weeks, because then you're going to have a lot of stuff to do. You still be able to farm Plains of Power, so that it'll make Eldon relevant, it'll make Gates of Discord relevant, Plan of Time will still be relevant because you can mix and match gear in there, and actually give you more stuff to raid in a smaller period of time. And then you can just say, okay, everything up to the Gates of Discord, all the level 65 content is still valid until the next expansion comes out. I think that would actually be kind of fun. But anyway, we're getting a little bit sidetracked here. So it's just going to be standard TLP server. And then I think I went over already the true box thing. So, yep, I think that's about it. So overall, I'm not really that happy with this announcement so far. Am I going to play on this server? Probably not. I don't see anything here that's like, okay, I can make this my new home. It just seems like a test server. This is like stuff that you would do on the test server. And I felt the same way about Vaniki. I felt like the rule set on that was like something nobody's asking for. And sure enough, not many people really played over there. Like after you get the first couple achievements, most people just quit. Yeah, so anyways, what do you guys think? Are you going to be playing over there? Or are you not going to be playing over there? So I hope this was interesting, and hopefully I didn't miss anything. I probably did, but I'll see you in the next one.